Hello everyone, it is I again for what I believe is the third live stream in a row. You know, you gotta wonder sometimes whether I actually make videos these days. So like, I don't know, it's strange that I've come across like the last couple of months just doing live streams. And it's really weird. I've got so many projects which I want to work on, but there are a few reasons why I haven't been doing a lot of things. The first is that I'm just busy doing club stuff like archery range, coaching, run the line, and of course doing events. I'm not doing a lot of state events, but I'm doing club events. We're running more regular shoots, and all my spare time at the club, all my range time has been either training myself or training other people. So I used to like make videos like every Tuesday or Thursday or Saturday or Sunday or more of those days, but I haven't been doing so recently because I've just been training, which is great. I feel really good about the way I shoot. We have an event tomorrow and I want to do that really well. There's a 50-meter one, a 30-meter one. The 30-meter one I've floundered a lot in, but I've got some big changes in my technique, and I want to see if I can shoot much better than before that. For those who keep wondering, like, where are your short videos, where are your tutorials, I've got a lot planned, but I have no time to actually make it happen. The other thing is also that the other problem is it's winter now. And I lose daylight at around 5:30. I finish work at around 4:30 to 5, right? So I've got no time to actually make a video. Filming might take about an hour per video, and without any daylight, I can't actually do much filming. And I fully expect this. After doing YouTube for several years for archery, I kind of know the time frame. So winter is normally a quiet season. It's kind of like the off season for me, so I don't do a lot of archery stuff. And now that I'm a lot busier, I find myself less energized and with less time to make archery content. So where I can, I will. There are things to review, techniques to share, and things to explain. But timing is really tough, and that's the main thing. But I do have time for live streams. These can be done late at night without any preparation. So again, if you're looking forward to more of the short videos, then they will be coming, but it'll be much slower over the next few months. So as you've been aware, this is the Form Checks live with me. So for those who don't know, this is the live stream where if you want to get some advice and feedback on your archery form, then I'll take a look at it. If you want to send me your form check for this video, send an email to my address, which is nu.sensei.archery@gmail.com. You'll find that on the description and or the YouTube page, and we'll take a look at it during the stream. I've got several videos lined up from 3 different people. We'll go through them first, and if we have time and if anyone's interested, we can do a bit more analysis of other forms later on. So hello to people in chat, by the way. We've got Niall from the UK. Glad you can make it. I'm starting the stream a little earlier than usual. It's 7:35 here, PM that is. So you've actually made it for once. Hello to Zip Keeping and Tony. Great to see the Aussies as usual. This is, by the way, Zip, you wanted to send me a video, right? I'm streaming before 9 PM for once. So this is a hot chance for you to get some feedback. I'm really looking forward to seeing your form because you've been apparently doing quite well, after your state event. So I want to see how you're shooting right now. Hello to Brett, Martin, Cat G, Xenophanes of Colophon, awesome name there. Guardian Chaos from the UK, Count Zero from France, bonjour. I imagine it's morning there as well because, I'm just guessing. But nice to see everyone here. So, as we're getting settled in, there are a few things to set up, and then we'll get ready for our first check. So, I often don't read the background people that people send me. So I'm gonna make a note to read some of these things as we go along, and I think we've got something here to look at. All right, so the first video we have comes from Devon. And let's see his background. So, Devon started shooting about a year ago, but he took a long break. So he's only been seriously practicing for the last 4 months. He's shooting a 34-pound bow, and he's shooting without a clicker or side rod stabilizers. He is using a finger sling. It's a really short one, and he hasn't had any formal coaching, nor is he at any club, and he's just been figuring things out by himself and through my YouTube videos and watching other people shoot. So this is a very good example of self-taught archer. So we're going to have a look at Devon. So again, a self-taught archer using only the resources he has available. I don't have the email. Yeah, I will fix that later. But yeah, if you're curious, those who want to email, I'll just check in chat right now, and people can repeat that. That is not the chat window I want, by the way. There we go, it's better. Alright, bing. Okay, so that's the email in case you want me to have a look at your form live in this session. Quick question from Rosso. Next Monday, you'll be going to your first time to the archery club of your city. Any tips or info for a new archer? Just have fun. If it's your very first time, just have fun. Listen to the instructor, get a feel for the bow. I've got a video on like a day one focus. So if you want to take it seriously or a bit more seriously, check out that video, day one focus. But it's really not about, you don't need tips. It's kind of like when you try something new, you don't need tips, just enjoy yourself. Especially when you're being told what to do or taught what to do, then you don't need to worry about like a really good advanced tips. Just enjoy yourself, really. So let us now turn over to Devon. Let's get the video up. Devon, where are you? Here we go. So I've got Devon. Yes, we get the sound on because we won't hear a clicker. He's emailing me already. It's only been like a second. Ah, never mind. Somebody else. Let us turn that off for the moment. All right. So let's switch over to Rosso question. Is 25 years old too late to start? No, it's not. People start much later. People start like 70 years old. You're fine, Rosso. Archery is not age dependent. You can be middle age, you can be old, you can be young, and you'll love archery all the same. So age doesn't matter. So Devon, let's go. Yo Devo or Devon. All right, let's have a look at Devon. All right, I'm gonna get my headphones on. There's no real need for the sound, I guess, because we know there's no clicker. But let's have a look at his shooting. I'll watch a few shots first. So again, remember Devon has been shooting for about a year, but he's seriously been shooting for the last 4 months. He's taken a break. He's not using a clicker. He is using a sling, as you can see there. There is a sling there. No clicker. And it's a 30-pound bow, I think he said. I want to drop the volume a bit. There we go. Of course, those watching, you might observe a few things in this technique as well. We'll compare notes a bit later. Interesting sequence we have there. There's a lot of shooting. It's a 4-minute video, but we'll see a sequence, see what happens. Let's do a couple more. Let's do another set, just to be sure. It's always nice to find pattern in someone's form. And while it might seem like a long video, it's just really helpful to have a long sequence, rather than watching the same shot over and over again. We can establish patterns, trends, habits. Alright, I think that's enough. Okay, so let's go back to our halfway point, and we can see a bit of a few things to note for Devon. So, what are our initial thoughts, by the way? Hi, Charles, by the way. Nice to see you. Alright, so let's have a closer look at Devon. What can we say about Devon? I'm going to turn the sound off for a bit. We don't need the sound anymore because there's no clicker. Alright, so let's talk about Devon. So, Devon. Now, Cat G has observed the left shoulder lift. Ah, yes, that is something I did note too. So, there's a shoulder lift there. Now, this is not tremendously a problem at full draw, but we'll watch the draw technique, and we'll slow it down just a fraction. Literally, I'll keep doing that. Slow it down literally by a fraction. Let's go half speed. We'll see the motion. So his draw motion is he starts low and he pulls up, and because of that, the front shoulder comes out of alignment at the beginning of the shot. So that's one thing to watch out for. One thing you'll note with people who shoot with the Olympic style is that they often start higher. So look at Devon's starting point. So there's the pre-draw, but he started to draw here, which is quite low. Now, is it possible to shoot well like this? Of course it is. Also be careful of the sky draw rule. Okay, this isn't so apparent here, but if you're shooting in a formal competition or in a supervised range, this may be considered unsafe. Oh, okay. All right. I do have to do the cringe, not intentionally, but when I see a sky draw, I go. All right. So, what happened with this shot? So it was seen. The reason why this may be considered an illegal high draw is because the arrow must be aimed at the target when the draw begins. So when the moment it starts pulling the arrow back, the arrow should be in line. Now the end point is there. So shooting at a fairly close distance target, the arrow is aiming straight at the target there. So it's basically parallel to the ground. But the point he starts his draw is very much upwards. So if he lets go from here, it's going to go over the target. That's the danger, and therefore if this was a formal environment, this would be declared likely an illegal draw. So be careful with this, Devon. You don't want to do this in competition because that will likely be interpreted as the wrong draw. So apart from being unsafe, there are also other problems. The problem you see here is the shoulder alignment. Because you started low, your shoulder is actually out of position. See that? That's not a bad thing necessarily, but it takes a bit of movement to get it right in place. And this is hard to be consistent. See the shoulders drop as you breathe out, which is okay too. But that can be a bit of a problem, the left shoulder lift, as Cat G pointed out in chat. So I'm going to identify this part of the form first. So the technique I'm talking about here is the position of where you start the draw. I'll string my actually no, I've got a kitty bow here, even better. I do normally use the same sage I've got here, but that's a 45-pound bow, and I don't want to do that for demonstrations on a live stream, especially in a cramped place. But I do have a fiberglass youth bow here, so I'll use this to demonstrate. Okay, so here we go. I've got my fiberglass bow, using one of the first strings I ever made as practice, and holy crap, I sucked back then. This is a horrible string. Works, but that's horrible. Anyway, so the point I'm making with the position of the draw is what Devon is doing. Imagine I'm shooting this as an Olympic bow. Is he's starting here, okay? So if I have an arrow locked, you'll find that if I let go by accident, it'll launch the arrow upwards. So he's doing this and coming up. Okay, got a bit of side view. Sorry for the noise. A little side view here. Okay, so he's doing pointing upwards and shoulders up, then in place, and he gets it right by the end. That's basically what he's doing. It can work. It does help you feel like you're sitting inside the bow. However, there are problems. Apart from the safety issue, the shoulder, which I mentioned before. So with the shoulder, what happens is that if you start low, your shoulder tends to rise upwards like that because you're pulling in and then you get the full draw, you lower it. And that's a lot of excess movement. You won't always get it right. What I recommend is you start a little higher. So instead of starting the draw down here, below your shoulder line, start higher. Especially if you're shooting Olympic style. This is what the most Olympians do. They will start around nose level or eye level. So around here. Yep. So here, even sometimes even higher than this. Like they'll start up here and then draw down like that. Or they'll start at eye level and then draw straight like that. And the reason why this is very popular is that by having a higher draw, your shoulder tends to pop into place here. It sits quite nicely there. When you start low, your shoulder tends to pop outwards. So you might pop up like this, and you might not sit it correctly if you draw low. Whereas if you start higher, your shoulder will naturally drop into place. So consider starting high in your draw and then coming down into your anchor like that. That's one suggestion. Now, Sammy has also made a good point here because, yes, as you see in the video, which I'll switch to right now. Let's swap over. As Sammy's mentioned, yes, the arm is a little too low. Let's get to the next shot. We'll see this. So, as he draws, we can see these things before. It's a low starting point. That wasn't too bad. But the drawing elbow is a little too low. And what this means is that he's putting a bit too much tension on the arm, especially the bicep, and not transferring enough into his back. Now, the rule of thumb is that the arm should be as close to the arrow line as possible, but given the human anatomy, to get it just right, the elbow and the forearm should be pointing towards the top of the grip. So it should be around here, but by its ear level. And this is important later on when we look at someone else's form check. But this point here should be where the arm should be elevated to. This position, if you follow his forearm, it's well above the center of the bow. So the force line is much lower. It's going to be a less efficient draw, and it's going to be less back tension. And the result of a low draw like this, or the low elbow, is the release will not be driven by back tension. It will tend to be driven by the hand. The hand will finish the shot. So if we see the release, it's a flick of the hand. Not quite plucking the string. It's actually a fairly clean release, but you can see the post-shot alignment. The arm hasn't moved. The hand has moved behind the neck. So if we visualize this on my side, it's basically your, like, again, the wrong muscles, as Cat G identified. You start low. I'm going to try and get my angle here. By starting low, you don't engage your back muscles. You're just using your arms. And when you release, you basically go like that. It's a flick of the arm, hand, like that. So there's no real tension here. Whereas good back tension, let's actually, I've got my back tension trainer here. I've got all this random tools sticking around. Maybe this might work for the demonstration. There's so much crap here. Sorry guys. And this is a good idea if I had it ready beforehand. Now, a while ago, you might remember that in my back tension video, I talked about something called the shot, the shot caddy or bow caddy trainer. Everything's tangled up. What happened here? That's not what I want to do. Alright, I'm getting somewhere. Alright, I've got a USB stick here, which is getting in the way, tangled everything up. Well, sorry guys, I'm going to use this to demonstrate. The USB, by the way, this is a really cool USB. It is the StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty Collector's Edition James Rayner ID tag USB stick, which is really cool. That's a really cool USB. Anyway, that wasn't the point I'm talking about. What I wanted to show you was my back tension trainer. So, you might have seen this in my back tension video. It's a very first strap. And I'll use it in this demonstration. So, What we're seeing is, by drawing low, the shot is being completed not by squeezing the back muscles together, but by using the hand to finish the shot. So we see this. We draw, we anchor, and because the arm's low, I can't actually get my shoulder rotated around enough and my scapula popped out in order to finish the shot. So I'm using my hands to finish it. So if I'm doing this, lower elbow, and I'm not using my back muscles, I can get this shot off, but it's driven by my hand. So it just goes whoosh, like that. Not necessarily the best thing to do. Very exhausting for your arm muscles and not a clean shot. You often find yourself having a lot of left and right variation because you're basically plucking the string, you're not using your back muscles. Now, if we lift the arm a little higher, about there, okay, so instead of starting low and coming here or here, we start high, we draw, and we keep, I'm using Olympic style here, the elbow about ear level. Alright, at this level, and you can try this at home as well. Imagine doing this, you know, with an air bow. Okay, you go down here, you can't pop your shoulder up very well. Yeah, you can't rotate it around. You go up here, you feel yourself rotating through like that, and that's going to give you much more back tension. And the result is, by lifting that elbow, doing the draw, high elbow, okay, so we draw, there we go, it sits there, we hold a position, and then you can therefore squeeze your muscles together for a cleaner shot release. That's kind of what you want to aim for, is the higher elbow allows you to engage your back muscles much more efficiently. And that's something I recommend for Devon very much, is to get the elbow higher. Low, not very good. High, excellent. Okay, we go back to Devon. So we'll see in this next shot. Elbow. Get this elbow at around ear level and you're perfect. Get up there, get it up there. It's going down and down, so he's using more of his biceps to compress, and he is going to release using his wrist. So you can see it's fairly limp release. It's not a strong snap. It's a fairly limp because his hand finishes, and it's not particularly clean release. It's a good release, but it's not optimal because he's using the wrong muscles to finish the shot. And this is an important thing to consider. What else can we talk about? I want to talk about his anchor for a bit here. Let's take his anchor point. Now, in my opinion, that anchor point is a little too high. So his forefinger is just under his lips. If he's shooting Olympic style with the sights, then this is not a particularly strong reference point. You do have the string on your lips. You do have the nose on the string. I feel though you might be better off with the hand under your jaw. What you really need, and this is good, but the problem with this anchor point is there's too much variation. Like, you're touching nowhere in particular. And we'll go back to our camera view. The problem I feel here also is that you're touching here, but what point exactly are we touching? Let's go to our bow. Alright, if I'm drawing it back and I touch here, what exactly here is my backstop, right? So yeah, I can have my nose on the string, I can have the string on my lips, sure, but you know, this is a very vague area. You can touch any point on your chin, and you know, especially when you have facial hair, it's very rough. There's so many spots here where your face will move, right? I can anchor here, but you can see what I'm doing here. There's a lot of movement. The reason why the low anchor under the jaw is generally preferred is it locks it in. You follow the line of your jaw typically, unless you've got a very weird jaw. But instead of anchoring at the chin in front here, which can still work, you anchor under there. Okay, now I've got a short bow, this won't touch my nose, but you would anchor under that point there. So we're getting your fingers and hand locked in here. It allows you to have a much stronger anchor point. So it locks in, and allows you to focus purely on squeezing the back muscles together. So here, this is a very arm-driven thing. So you kind of flick your hand. Here, lock it in, squeeze. That's kind of what you want to do. I really recommend you anchor along your jaw. Experiment with that. That will also help you with your elbow alignment, because you kind of have to point upwards to align with your jaw. So your jaw is here, align, and your arm is mostly in place. Is there anything else we can look at here? So like we said before, anchor point is a little high for a sighted recurve shooter. Probably want to lower the anchor and lift the elbow. These things might solve each other's problems. I also feel the hand's a bit too cramped up. Normally at this point, the hand is perfectly flat. By curling the fingers, you're gonna flick the arrow off the bow. That's one thing. But also, you'll be plucking the string. So to me, it feels like this hand is showing knuckles. You can see here should be flat. So switch to my view again. We're seeing this going in here, or here rather. When you start seeing knuckles like that, it means you're clutching the string. You're gonna foul the release. You're gonna basically pluck to get it off there. Here, you want to have a flat hand. So the hand is always flat. Through the draw. Use the bow to do this. Whoops. So flat hand. Let's try again. Flat hand, all the way through the draw. You don't want to draw and then start clutching your hand like that. You can see my knuckles, even with the bad lighting, you can see the knuckles there. It's very evident. Flat hand and with knuckles. So knuckles means tension in the hand. It will mean a botched release. You want to keep the back of the hand flat to maintain correct tension. Alright, anything else we can talk about? I don't mind the drop, by the way. That's pretty natural. It kind of stays in your hand, but a lot of people do that. I mean, I personally just let the whole thing flip open. But let's have a look here. Grip. Seems a little tight, even with the finger sling. Yeah, you can see there's a bit of post grip there. It's a post shot grip. So when he releases, you can see the fingers hanging on. Wouldn't hurt to have a looser grip. So keep on working the loose grip, and you'll be alright there. Apart from that, things seem alright. There's another check there. I think we've got everything we need to talk about there. So we mentioned before, start the draw higher, get the elbow up a little higher, and anchor along the jaw. And build bonuses to loosen your grip a bit. And I think that covers the main points that you need to work on. Good. Alright, let's get some last thoughts for Devon before we switch over. What do we think, people? Oh, Zip sent me a video. Yay! Awesome. I'll have a look at that a bit later. There we go. Thank you, Zip. Right there. Excellent. I'll look at that a bit later. Okay, so I want to juice up a bit. Lipton raspberry flavor iced tea. My voice is getting a little... Yeah. It's a Newcastle round, 20 meters, with a big face. That's an easy round. What's going on there? Really? You might be right, by the way. I'll double check. Australian archery rounds. Archery Australia rounds. I think you're right. Let's have a look here. A Newcastle, or Newcastle for you Americans, is 20 meters, 90 arrows on the big face. Now that is a junior round, as if you've seen anything. That is so easy. That'd be fun to shoot. It's a nice test to see if you're competent. But yeah, a 20-meter round with a big face. If we had to shoot this, if you got any less than like 358, something's wrong. Sorry, 90 arrows. If you got what? That's a long round. 90 arrows at 20 meters. Wow, we'd be smashing our own arrows. We'd have to get like 895 to like qualify at that arrow rate. But that'd be fun for you. If you're shooting like bear bell, if you're junior, that's great. Um, we have a running joke at our club. I think this is probably other clubs too, right? So in Archery Australia, you have round names. You have like the Melbourne round, or the Newcastle round, or the Brisbane round, the Adelaide round. And you have all these rounds, okay? And the joke is that, like in Australia, if you add the word short in front of a round, you have the same round, but you drop the distance by 10 meters. So for example, we shoot a Canberra round, which is 60, 50, 40. A short Canberra is 50, 40, 30. And a junior Canberra drops by 20 meters. So it's 40, 30, 20. Okay, so these are very, like, junior drops by 20, short drops by 10. You have a short Melbourne, a short Adelaide, a junior Adelaide, and so on. So, a Newcastle round. We just joked about this, right? We've proposed shooting a junior Newcastle. Right? So a Newcastle round is 20 meters. A junior round drops it by 20 meters. Therefore, it is a 0-meter round. Beautiful. If you have a stabilizer, you can't shoot it. Yeah. Oh, junior cameras are fun. Like, the big face targets are forgiving. So it's very good for morale. It's a big morale booster, because 40, 30, 20, for many people 40 is just about right for a practice distance, 30 is getting easy, and 20 is just shooting for fun. Right? So it's a fairly forgiving round. The problem is that if you're trying to get ranking rounds, you actually can't do it with a junior Canberra. And also, because it's so easy, it also means the standard for higher rankings is much, much higher. So a 900 junior Canberra, you know, you might like getting a 700 or an 800 point score, but it's so easy that unless you get like 880 or something, you won't qualify for a top rank, which is it can be insane, you know, because you're being so perfect. But yeah, yeah, you're right, Kaji. 20 meters on a full face. Oh my goodness, I've been doing that the last few days. Not because it's a round, because it's practice. We just rolled at the 20 meters. Last time we shot in the dark, like it was like 6:30. It was dark, and we still shot. And I was grouping fine. Now there's not so much, but you can just see enough of the illumination to align your string, what you barely see, with the target. So it did work out. And yeah, push the arrow in. It's great actually. It's a lot of fun to talk about target rounds. I'm gonna scroll through chat very quickly. Don't miss any questions here. Dash, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you do some archery, by the way. I'm glad you can join me and follow this along, but you might have some fun doing some archery too. What else are we looking at here? Jizom Jin. Why are kisser buttons not used? They used to be very popular in the 70s and 80s. Kisser buttons, I guess one reason is hygiene, if you think about it. Like, you're basically sucking on a plastic piece. I think that's going to be a bit of a concern, right? So imagine drawing something that's attached to your string. Let's go under here, and you're going, oh, that's disgusting, man. Oh, yuck. That's rubber right there, right? You're basically, it has to be in your face. You have to line it up, nose, and then string it in. Do you know how weird this looks? It's weird from my angle. And do that like 150 times a day. It's weird. There are some things which, I know, some people really get off on it, I guess, but I don't know, I can't see myself doing this. I mean, I've seen people use kisser buttons when they had to, but nowadays, I think that's out of the books. There are things I would kiss, but I don't think a kisser button would be it. So, honestly, I think hygiene is actually one of the problems with the kisser button, but also, like, you don't really need it anymore. Like, nowadays with modern aiming technique, with both eyes open, we anchor with the string here, and the string here, we don't need a kisser button, and the anchor point solves everything. So it was probably seen as unnecessary, and also a little unhygienic, especially when you're shooting outdoors and you're constantly kissing the kisser button. I've only seen 2 people at club use the kisser, because our coach recommended it. One was having a lot of trouble with the anchor point. The second one couldn't anchor because of her face shape, her body shape, and the way she anchored. She couldn't actually get the string on her nose, and she had no other reference point. So it was recommended that she get a clicker, a kisser button, to have a facial reference. But she doesn't shoot anymore. So some people still use them, but they're increasingly uncommon. But fantastic question there. Thank you very much. Whew. All right. Hey Charles. Yeah. No. If you checked your arm alignment, I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah. That it's a big difference. Compound is very much the same as recurve and disregard for back tension. So yeah. Now if you're shooting compound, if you're doing this, and by the way, back tension release is very good at doing this too, right? With back tension releases, you have to use the right back tension to make the clicker go off. Make the release aid go off. So again, if you're using a release aid and you're pulling it back this way, you're using your arms to do this. Whereas you give a high elbow, you engage, you still snap back. So the same process, whether you're using a trigger or whether you're using back tension, same sort of thing. Did I just give compound advice? Well, that wasn't me. You don't know me. I did not give compound advice. Oh dear, this is fun. All right. 10:29. You just joined me, and I'm munching on some rubber. Nom, nom, nom. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, good stuff. Yes, the kisser button. I've seen people, even at top level, some people, even without a kisser button, they'll kind of really go like a fish face. They'll draw back going. They do this. It's like some people try really hard to find the string. I find this tends to be more common in junior archery. If you go to like the youths, more people tend to do this. And I'm not sure why they do this, but they'll draw and they'll try to go like that. So they're trying to get more face contact. I don't know why they do this, but there's probably a reason why. I probably get used to it, but it might be a habit. As Mert, great stuff going through the archive footage. By the way, check out the World Archery archive playlist. They've got so much more. I only picked out like 6 to go through, or more than that. But the actual like full archives are really, really fascinating. So, interesting. Yeah, Patrick Hudson from Great Britain uses a kisser button. He touches on his nose. Anything which helps with facial references can work too. Alright, let's go to our next one. What was that question from James? Whoops, sorry about that. I decided to go for some carbon 1 arrows instead of ACEs. I honestly think the more expensive ones would be wasted on my skill level. Thoughts on buying equipment with a skill? I agree with you, by the way. Like, don't buy gear that you can't maximize. So, for example, I use X10s. I can't maximize my X10s, not at my skill level. Well, maybe now I can. I shoot more decently and feel more confident. For the last like year, when I've had X10s, a year and a half, I'm just breaking and losing for no reason. I was just pissing money on the X10s. They're damn good arrows, but I don't shoot 70 meters. Why do I need X10s? I bought them because why not? I wanted to try X10s, and they were a fantastic arrow, full stop. So, ACEs and carbon 1s. Carbon 1s are easy to let go emotionally. Okay, if you splinter and carbon 1, you don't care. You break an ACE, you cry like a man. Like in man tears right there. So yes, it's a good point. If you don't feel your skill level is enough to maximize arrows and you're on a budget, then sure, carbon 1s are just as good as anything else. However, if you are shooting decently and you can afford ACEs, ACEs are probably the better choice. And the arrows, in terms of score difference, like score is mostly the archer, but when you're scoring for points, the biggest thing that affects points, that's not your technique, it's your equipment, it's the arrows. The arrows will make a huge difference with your points. So that's one way. If you feel you're bottlenecked by your arrows, get better arrows. So yeah, carbon 1s are good for practice, and even if you have ACEs or X10s, having practice carbon 1s is good because you don't want to smash your good arrows. Like for example, if you do buy top arrows, you might want to keep a set of fairly well spined cheap arrows because you only want to bring out your X10s or your ACEs on a match day. Okay, you don't want to bring it out on practice and lose them or break them because holy crap, it's a lot of money. Like an X10, because it's like fully set up, might be like 50 Australian dollars or like 40 US dollars. With like the wraps or the pin knocks and the points, especially the good ones, they're expensive. Holy crap, that's not cool. Okay, let's go to our next one. I want to go through zip keeping. I've got two more, but because zip, I know you want to have that's a lot of form check videos. What happened? Oh dear. Cool. That is awesome. Okay, I've got about 5 videos now. Wow, people. Well, what happened? Am I giving compound advice and people send me compound videos? This is fun, guys. That's fine. Cool. I thought people spam me stuff. Cool. All right. Let's go to zip. All right. Been a while since I saw you shoot. Okay. A little risque there. All right. I missed what you said. What morning, by the way, David. Thank you for your donation. Okay, here we go. Some stuff. All right, let's watch from here. I think we've got stuff happening. All right. I see. All right. I see the video is. So let's have a look at a zip. Let's flip over. Question, by the way, from Lee. That's a good question, by the way. You said before, why would you practice with different arrows to your comp arrows? Because comp arrows will get damaged. Okay. Now, if you're practicing form, you don't need groupings and accuracy. And this is like, for example, close range shooting, indoor shooting, or blind ball shooting. For regular practice, you only need form. Form is what drives you. When you are scoring, then you need the precision accuracy. The thing with arrows is that they get damaged. Because remember, when an arrow hits a target, it experiences rapid deceleration. So over time, the carbon will split, even the good ones. So you will find that your carbon arrows will be worn down. The carbon will start to split away, and eventually it will crack. Okay, so by continually smashing an arrow into a target, then you're going to wear it down. That's why people replace arrows quite frequently. Now, for those of us who are very frugal, we might make a set of arrows last for a long time. Like my X10s have lasted for nearly a year and a half now, and I'm losing arrows because I'm breaking them or losing them. But the ones I'm using, they're fine, but for how much longer, right? So that's why you kind of want to use cheap practice arrows and only bring out your good arrows when you are doing a sighting round or a competition. Because again, why waste good ammo, good arrows for things where you're going to break and lose things, okay? So you kind of want to preserve your good arrows. Again, fantastic question there. All right, back to zip. So let's watch zip for a bit. I'm going to turn the sound back on. Headphones on. There's no sound, is there? Nah, didn't think so. Doesn't matter. Alright, let's see zip shoot. It's good practice, but this is meant by close range practice. This is what's really beneficial for a lot of archers. You really need the chance to practice in close distance where there's no target, there's nothing distracting you. This is how people grow to become very good archers. It's just constant practice like this. You build good habits without any pressure. That's a very strong draw there. That's confident. A lot of people, like some coaches will like say this is not good, where you draw too low. This is not a problem. Like my coach hates me doing this, but this is a good thing. You're really engaging your back muscles here, and you're anchoring strong. Some people will say you should have minimized the movement. I don't think this is a problem. I think if it works for you, stick to it. Because you've got a very tight anchor there. This is a nice angle to work with because you can see that process. The draw clears your face well, and then it comes very tight against your jaw. That's a very, very strong anchor. You can see the elbows raised in the right position. The back is tense there. You can see the snap back, which is very deliberate. I think this is looking quite good, Zip. Just the half speed. I actually go to the draw part. A bit more. There we go. Let's go from here. So the anchor, very nice. We see the back tension engage and snap. Very nice. That's a very good process. Honestly, I don't see anything wrong there. I think that's a very good process. From the back, that's clean. Yeah. Again, some people will kind of minimize that movement. I could pick on this, but I don't think it's a bad thing. But some coaches will pick out and say that that's a bit too excessive. You go a bit too low and up. But the motion is good. And I think that's a very good action there. I don't know anything specific to really point about this. I think you're set up really well. Your control of the bow's draw weight is very good. As I look here, this is a very good shot process. You can see, by the way, Devon, if you're watching this, this is how you start with the Olympic bow. So you start from a high position. The drawing hand's about nose to eye level. The shoulder is down correctly, and it draws very smooth. Right, that's a very good draw there. A little low for most people, but that's within acceptable limits. Anchors tightly. We see the arm is pointing towards the grip there. It might be a little too high, but I think it's just the target height. That's completely fine, by the way. And you can see the arm will drop just very slightly. The muscles engage, and then it snaps together. I think this is quite good. I actually don't think there's any major points to raise here. I think this is a very good shot process. And it's good repetition, the movement here. No, that's fine. That's a very clean process. I think you're fine, Zip. You're doing a good job. Nothing that's gonna really affect you negatively. I think you're doing a very good point there. So yes, I think you've done. Yeah. That's just a clean shot process. Well done. You've done a good job of repeating the same patterns and routines. You're doing a good job. I've said that several times now. Okay. Some quick questions, by the way. Sorry, I missed before. Sammy, I posted a question to a comment on your Sunday FB post about my problems with long distances. Can you perhaps comment on it now? Can you repeat the question, by the way? I don't have anything in front of me right now. I remember the question, but just rephrase it here for people can see, and so I can go over it again as well. How old is Zip? Are you what, 14? Can't remember. Question from Chronowind. Why is it called Why is it called a chest protector when all it really does is protect your release? It doesn't protect your release. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. It doesn't protect your release. The chest protector, it's got a chest guard or chest protector. It covers the chest. It actually mostly flattens clothing, but rather than call it a clothing flattener, which you call an iron, they call it a chest protector. It actually is meant to stop the string from touching your chest. So if you, not that you're shooting bare chested, but it will catch across your chest, it will scrape your nipple, and it will hurt. So it does protect your chest. Though most people don't need to protect their chest, it does do so. But yeah, it's a chest guard because it guards the chest. It makes more sense. Alright. Let's go to our next question. Next video. This is the wrong stream. This is not the Q&A. Whoops. Alright, thank you, by the way, Zip, for that. Let's go to the next person in our order, and that would be Ratsko. Let's get it set up. And, oh, this looks interesting. I have seen this, by the way. This is a 28-pound bow, and this is his 5th session. So he's a very new guy. Very new. And I'm happy to see new people share their passion and learn from this. Oh, sorry, I missed a joke there. Oh, well, but yeah, you don't want to lose a nipple. That is absolutely horrible. It hurts, man. Not that I would know, but I've seen people with big chests shoot and they really get, like, you know, chafe marks on this. So, this is, who is this? This is Ratsko. Okay, so let's have a look at him shoot. It's only a 40-second video. And this is his 5th session, so 28-pound club bow, 5th session. Okay. Alright, so I think we've got the basics there. So, Ratsko, let's see what we can improve on. So for fifth session, this is going alright. I mean, you've acquired all the fundamental parts of archery form. Your stance is pretty solid, good feet spacing, good balance. Your shoulders are fairly level. You've got a pretty good grip there, and your elbow position is fairly good. Actually, this is actually a pretty good process. You've been taught the fundamentals well, and you've acquired good technique in your training. This is actually a pretty good sequence. Now, what can be better? You don't need to put your finger on the arrow tip, by the way, those who are watching, right? So this is a habit which people have to keep the arrow on. You probably don't need to do this. If this is a problem with the arrow falling off, what you might want to do is watch your wrist alignment and your knuckles. Keep the back of the hand flat, and maybe keep the wrist a little straighter. I'll showcase what we mean. Bow time. There's my bow. Alright. Camera switch. Here we go. So, one problem people have is the arrow coming off the string. Everyone does this. And there are a couple ways to fix this. One, back the hand flat. When you show knuckles, you will actually turn the string inwards, which is causing the arrow to come off. Number two is to keep the back of the hand flat and the wrist straight. So what often happens, okay, excuse my very toned forearm. What often happens is when people draw, they put a break in their wrist that way. You see what I'm doing there? So this is often what new people look like when shooting on the range. They'll have the bow here, and they'll drive the drawing step with their hand. So they'll pull back over here to the anchor point, so that the wrist snaps or breaks there, and then they get the elbow right. So it's kind of backwards to what we're supposed to do. So you're doing this and that. So because you're doing this, there's more of a break in the hand, and therefore the arrow's more likely to come off. What you should do is keep the wrist straight. Straight wrist or slightly bent outwards, like that, and therefore when you draw back, it's perfectly in line all the way. Okay? That is your technique that you want to do. Not this inside thing. So it's less strong, and also more likely to flip the arrow off. That might be the reason why you're doing the finger on the arrow thing. Whew. Alright, what was that? Alright, back to our thing. I'm going to answer questions in a moment. So, otherwise, the shot's pretty good. The other thing is back tension. I think for a 28-pound bow is not that heavy, but I do think that there is not much back tension going on here. Everything else looks really good. Everything looks really good. I'm not exaggerating. This is actually really nice textbook form. So if I freeze frame this, this looks like perfect archery. The release, however, is a little limp. So you can see what happened there. We'll slow it down. I keep doing that. I'll speed. So we see the release. It just drops there. So there's no follow through. And I guess at this point in your shooting, it's about right. If you're not learning back tension and follow through, this will tend to happen. We'll go through the shot a few times. So what should happen is at full draw, this is where the arm will slightly drop a bit. The muscles will squeeze together in the back. So you have back tension. They start squeezing together. And then the arm, the hand, upon releasing the arrow, will scrape the face and go backwards. Okay? Again, we'll demonstrate this without an arrow. But what you do, so you're at full draw, and then you squeeze, and then you let go, this will naturally come across. You're painting your face, basically. You don't try to do so. This isn't a conscious motion. You're not shaving your face. You come in, and then you naturally come through. Using our Velcro band. Okay. Draw, anchor, squeeze back muscles, power, power, power. So I say power a lot because I tend to drop my power when I'm shooting. So I say power. So in, power. And see what we did there? They come snapped straight backwards. Whew, that's a workout in itself because this one's set to my length. But this is about 30, 40-ish pounds or 35 pounds on the Velcro. It's a good training tool. Let's do it again. We go in, anchor, squeeze, and the hand just snaps back. If you do correct back tension, that is what will happen. So, it feels good too. This is a good, when you want to learn what a good shot feels like, do that. When you feel that snap through your shoulders, that is a very open feeling. It feels fantastic. So, we go back to this. You can see that Ratsko, he basically drops his hand and releases, and there's no follow through. He just picks the next arrow up there. So that would be the next step for you, Ratsko, is to work on back tension and learn to draw with your elbow. Let your elbow guide the shot. So rather than using your hand to draw to your anchor point, lift the bow and draw with your elbow. Let this thing guide the direction of your movements. This is a good advice in general, okay? So when your elbow is very important. Again, like I said before, many people will draw straight in and touch with their hand, but they forget what the elbow is doing. So don't use your hand to do this. Use your string, your elbow to do this, okay? So draw with your elbow. Let the elbow lead the way. If the hand leads the way, the elbow doesn't know what to do. Let the elbow lead the way. So you draw with your elbow, anchor, and release. That's a very big point to make. What else you want to say? Yeah. So when you draw with your elbow and you anchor, squeeze your back muscles, and then you come across. Yeah. So that is what I would really recommend in your shot process. Everything else in your shot process looks really, really good. As in really good. See? That is fantastic. Okay? Nothing wrong with the sequence. If you can squeeze your back muscles, get your back tension worked up, get the feeling of the shot, they will come back naturally. Otherwise, everything else you do looks really good. Okay, so more back tension, and you'll see better results. Until the last shot. Wait, does it end? It ends. Oh well, let's do one more shot together. See if there's a pattern here. Get full speed. Oops, sorry. There we go. Yeah, more back tension. That is your goal. But pretty good. Very nice progress for the 5th session. And again, back tension is something people don't really pick up too much later on. So the fact that you're doing it now is really good. Alright. Alright, let's have a bit of a mini break here. Whew. Got a lot of things to answer. Alright. Alright, so Sammy's question from before is, what could you be doing wrong at long distance? So you're grouping well at 40 and 50, but you're shooting all over the place at 60 and 70. That's a good question, okay? So what can go wrong with long distance shooting? There are several things. One is a natural amplification of technical errors, because at 40 and 50 meters, you will tend to group better. There's less time for the arrow to go off target. At 60 and 70 meters, any errors over here will be amplified greatly. So a millimeter off will mean like a meter off there. So that's probably one thing to keep in mind. There's a natural dispersion. But another thing that can possibly affect you greatly is a sight picture. Because the target is further away, the size of the target makes it harder to align with your sight or your string, or if you're shooting bare bow, then with the point of the arrow or whatever you're using. But if you're using a sight, it makes it harder to get an alignment. And because it's only millimeters off, which dictate the direction of the shot, that could possibly be what is throwing you off. At close distance, the target is so close and big, and we're talking about Canberras or Newcastle rounds, it looks so easy, you can't not hit it. But at longer distance, you are really trying to hit a small target. Remember, you know this, DVD size target. I've got one here for out, right? You're shooting at one of these things. Is it an 81? I think this is an 80 centimeter one. Yeah, you're shooting at something like this at 70 meters, and that is very hard. At this distance, you can hit this really easy. You can probably point and close your eyes and get it right. But further away, this doesn't look anywhere near as big. So that could be one factor, is physically or mentally, it's harder to align your sight picture with a circle like this. And because it's much greater variation, you'd lose confidence in your shot process. That is the second reason why I'm doing this. So one is, well, three. One is technique. Any inconsistencies will be worse at long distance. Two, sight picture is hard to acquire. Three, psychology. It may be that you are intimidated by the longer distance. 40 and 50, you've conquered. That means you are confident shooting these distances, so you expect a high level of performance, and your scores are excellent at these distances, unlike mine. But when you reach 60 meters or 70 meters, it may be a zone of discomfort. You haven't conquered this distance yet. This distance conquers you. So you're fighting to regain confidence to shoot at this distance. People who shoot regularly at 70 meters will shoot very confidently. They go pop, pop, pop. The way you shoot at 30 meters might be how they shoot at 70 meters. But you're shooting, because you are mentally still getting that confidence boost, trying to overcome the fear of not hitting gold or not hitting the target. That may be a contributing factor to your shooting at 60 meters and 70 meters being more dispersed. That's my analysis and the answer to your question. Very good question. But I think that's the reason why. Alright. What else was there? I think we've got everything else there. Aperture pin sights. I know what you're talking about. Yes, Jin. They used to be very popular in the 70s. Well, the original iron sights were aperture sights. Didn't have any pins or fibers. A lot of people still do shoot with the apertures. They actually remove the fiber, or they shoot with an open ring. And therefore, it's basically a concentric circle. It's a circle on circle, making it quite easy to align. But again, I think a lot of people will like the red fiber because they want a dot reference. They want a high contrast color. That's one of the problems is when you're shooting, because let's say you have a black ring or a dark ring color, it basically blends in with the target. So I don't have a full color target, but your target, does anything target resemble here? I always have some archery stuff lying around which I can use as a target. But let's say this is your target, right? Now, you have a black ring on the outside, and at long distance, at some point, oh, this is 80 centimeter. I thought there's a name here, 80 centimeter. At some point, the black will blend in with your sight ring, and you can't actually see your ring anymore. That's what the fiber makes a very good thing. Also, in certain light conditions, the red fiber, the red dot, makes it much easier to contrast. So some people rely more on the aperture or the ring for a reference. Some people prefer the red dot or the fiber for that. Yeah, like as Jin mentioned, yeah, like it's normal for a lot of air riflers to align the circles, and a lot of archers will align circles. You'll be surprised how many will shoot the empty sight tunnel or empty aperture. But yeah, I think a lot of people will use the ring to align the string and then dot the target. So mentally, there are several steps involved in the aiming process, which we compress into like one step. But there are several different things to check. Okay, let's do our next form check. This is from Irem. Let's have a look. Hopefully it works. There we go. So we've got compound shooter. Let's have a look here. So it looks like one shot. Nice draw. That was fine, actually. Like this is only one shot, so like I can't really comment on too many patterns we see. But the process looks fine. It's a very open stance. Nothing wrong with this. With a very open stance. I mean, some coaches will point out change your stance. Up to you. I assume you've done this for a reason. So if it's comfortable, stick with it. I'm not going to force that. For those watching, a very open stance can be beneficial because it forces you to use more back muscle engagement. It's basically like upper body torque. So it's a twist in the body which allows you to do more. So the idea, let me try and somehow show this to you, right? So if I, okay, you can't really, we'll do it this way, okay. So if I'm shooting that way, and I'm using a square stance, I only have to pull up to here and squeeze to engage. That's a very short motion. If I open my stance up, so my hips are more like that, while pointing that way, kind of that's my square point. If I'm still shooting that way, I have to do more twist in my upper body to reach the same thing. A very open stance, and you might see some archers in very windy days, they basically shoot nearly front on, and the Korean style does this too, by the way. But you can still shoot almost front on to the target, but you have to go, actually, let's do this, okay, with an actual bow, okay, whoops, okay, so, square stance, you shoot to get, it's a very clean line. It's why a lot of the Korean women do this, very easy to replicate. Beginners find it easy, and even top level archers find it very easy to do this. Slightly open stance, bit more upper body rotation needed to get the amount of alignment needed. So you need stronger back muscles and more flexible back muscles. You can shoot square, I mean like actually like facing the target like this. You can still do so, right? But you require even more flexibility in your back to get that alignment. There's a lot of twist. I mentioned this because some people shoot like this in the wind. On a very windy day, especially in a crosswind, some people will change their stance to mitigate the effect of wind blowing them. And the Korean style does it too. The Korean style is, you know, obviously a thumb draw. I can't actually do it properly. So you nearly face the target. You squeeze your core muscles, you lift the bow up, and you draw it back with your core muscles. Very core heavy. Amazing experience too. Lots of fun doing that. Oh, should buy a Korean bell one day. Having said that. So, point being was that you don't need to worry about the stance. A lot of people say change your stance. If it works for you, don't worry about it. It's fine. Alright, rest of the shot process. Good elbow alignment there. Grip is good for a compound. Nice draw. I like the confident draw there. So you obviously have very good control of your draw weight. Now, if there's one thing, I'm not a compound shooter, you may want to tighten your anchor a bit. I think you've got a good reference point, so your peeps lined there, and your note, the strings on the nose, so you've got some reference points. It may be that your anchor could be a little loose. Now, I'm not sure. I can't say from this angle. It might feel a little loose. You might want to experiment with tight angle, but you do have your hand on your face, so that could be a good enough reference point. So I don't think this is a huge problem. Overall, I think this is looking pretty good. Nice release there. It doesn't look too punchy. I think it's some nice control. Let's slow down just a bit. Let's see the release. I think that's okay. It's very compound style. Should be a good clean shot there. I think you're doing okay. So nothing here screamed out to me as really bad. Everything looks really good to me. So shoulders are fine. Tension is fine. The draw is well controlled. The weight's fine for you. Like I said, the stance, you might, if you find it uncomfortable, try closing your stance a bit. Otherwise, just keep as it is. Don't worry about what I'm saying. It's just a general observation for coaching. And otherwise, things look quite good from here. I think you've got a good shot process. Yeah, a bit of head movement, I think, in the slow motion, but otherwise, not a huge thing. So, well done. I think it's a very clean shot. You should be happy with that. Keep it up. Very good. Some chat happening here. What's going on? What's chat doing? Oh, man, you've got a compound bow and it's not being accurate. Could be anything, by the way. Check the Cardboard Pro Shop. Okay. Oh, I shouldn't have vaulted. I thought we were shooting a Genesis there. Okay, fair enough. Alright, yeah, I can't help you with that one particularly. There are a lot of things that can go wrong with compound bow. You just have to be a bit more precise and figure out exactly what it's doing. So not too sure there. Alright, let's switch to our last video for the feed. or last two videos. Ah, excellent. Okay, this will be good to watch. So this is from Kate. We've got a couple of videos. Alright, let's look at Kate. This is I think our last video for this set. Doing quite well today, actually. Gone through quite a lot. Let's flick on over to the chat, the video. Here we go. So this is Kate. Looking good, Kate. Looking good. That's not one shot. Whoa, whoa. All right. the single shot videos just always throw me off. I'm so used to seeing like 10 shots or 6 shots. This is like, whoa, that's quick. Let's do this. Now, this is a good foundation for a shot process. Nothing's wrong here. I think I've got to slow it down. Good work, Kate. By the way, I keep doing this. Yeah, half speed. All right. So, stance, nice and solid. I mean, you're a left-hander, so this looks weird on camera, but to me at least. Looking good here. Stance is fantastic. Hips are well aligned. Good grip there. It's nice and hard on the riser, which on the grip there, this is a very good technique. We get to the anchor point. This is nice and strong too. And you can see that elevated elbow gives you good back tension down here. Bit of a squeeze. And that's good execution. This one, as far as I'm concerned, most coaches probably wouldn't say too much just from this alone. Obviously, when you shoot your arrow, you have a better feeling of where the arrow lands or how it flies. So you might dissect this a bit more in detail. This is the actual competition you're shooting, so it can be hard to kind of track this from this angle. I think you're doing quite well though. I don't see anything too wrong with this from this angle alone. Again, like I said, everything looks really good. I think this is about 60 meters, 70 meters you're shooting, just based on your sight there. Looking good. This is a solid thing there. And again, nice back tension, nice follow through, good natural motion there, and everything relaxes at the very end. I think you're doing a good job with that first sequence. I'll do a second one very quickly. And this is, there we go, in your Australian shirt. Okay, that's much more like it. So back to Cat. Oops, I did that. Okay, this is 30 seconds now. All right. Okay, that wasn't bad. It's like I spotted something there. Let's look again. Ah, okay. That's a nice shot, by the way. Nothing wrong with that. I have a feeling, Kate, that your first shot, did you come a bit too close here? Because I feel you're expanding a bit more than you usually get to your clicker. It might just be me being very sensitive here, but I feel that was a slightly longer shot than we normally would do. If we compare that shot with this shot, this is a cleaner shot. In, and that's, I think you've got a good motion there. So I think that the fine point for you, this is click control and expansion. This is one of the hardest things to get right in archery, is making sure that your chest and your back are correctly aligned and expanded and enough tension. This is such a micro control thing that I wouldn't be surprised if you're still developing this. This is good shooting. That's a clean shot. So you have everything, the process is all there. In, anchor, and then you power it through, and there's your shot. That's probably your optimal shot process. So you're doing very well here. I think the first one you showed here is slightly off by about like half a second. So it doesn't feel as confident, I feel, with this shot here. Let's try from the start. In, anchor, power through. I feel it's so subtle. It might even be, I'm just imagining things. But you probably know more than I do. So there's a bit of subtlety in this. You know your shot process. And I think this is, from what I'm seeing as a third person, everything here looks really good. And there's a reason why you're wearing a national shirt. Okay, so you're looking really nice here. If you want validation, I think you're doing a good job. And it's all about, for you, I reckon you're at the stage, Kate, where you're basically playing the mental game. Your technique, I can't fault your technique. Your technique is really, really good. It's refined. It shows a lot of training. It shows a lot of hard time hours at the range. And this is what you lose. For those watching, this is what you lose when you don't practice regularly. And yes, thank you, Kate, for confirming that. Yeah, this is, again, like, it's so hard to spot. But, like, as a coach, you have to put yourself through the archer's mindset as they shoot. We can't put ourselves in the archer's shoes, but we can put ourselves in the archer's mindset. So when you do this a lot, you will recognize every single subtle thing. All right. By the way, count zero. The arch in the back, I don't think is a lot of a problem. Like there's a very distinct arch for beginners. This is more the camera angle rather than the arch, if anything else. But yeah, like a lot of people have backs like that, as Kat just mentioned in chat there. So her back is like that. Some people will naturally kind of arc their backs. Some people are straighter backs. That's not a big problem there. I wouldn't force that. So, yeah, like I said before, you have to put yourself in the archer's mindset. So, I mean, as I watch people shoot, and sometimes it's quite tricky to kind of flip between mindsets. I'm watching like someone who's been doing for 5 weeks versus someone who's doing for several years and shoots national level. So going through mindset is very important. And I think I'm making a point to Kat is what you have to keep in mind is to maintain a firm, positive mindset. You've probably been coached at high performance level, but I'll share the stories with you, right? You need to talk to yourself. You need to let your brain talk. You need to do positive self-talk. There's a difference between I hope I don't miss the target to I will hit the 10. And saying that to yourself changes your physiology. It changes the way you approach the shot. People who are more conservative, people who say, I'm afraid I might miss the target, will miss the target. They will not shoot that well because they don't have the confidence to push them through. But people who will say, I will hit that gold, I will shoot that, that will make a difference. You've never had high performance. You will hear this in high performance. People with the high performance coach or whatever coach you use will take you out to the range, and if you ever do a coaching camp, they will not drill you, but they will ask you what you were thinking of during a shot process. You have to verbalize, you have to articulate what you were doing. I'll share a story which I had from our state coaching director. What she talked about were 2 different archers. I know who they are, so I'm not gonna mention names. So one archer basically say, like, tell me what you were thinking when you're doing the shot. And it was like, basically, I'm going to raise the bow, draw it back, and then hit the gold. And that's basically her shot process. Was draw it back, hit the gold. That's what she told herself. Now, the other person had this other mentality, right? So you have this thing where this guy, he or she, I can't remember who it was. So this guy was going through, all right, I have to get my feet exactly this distance. I've got to feel this exact weight. My hands be on this grip just the right way. I've got the fingers have to be 50, 60, or 50, 40, 30 here. And then I've got to put the elbow here. There are like 40 steps in the process. And who do you think is going to have a cleaner shot process? The person with 3 steps in their mind, or the person with 40 steps in their mind? The problem is, as an archer, as you become more and more conscious of everything you do, especially after a slightly not good shot, not a bad shot. Bad shots will, like, you can brush it off, that's a bad shot, whatever. But when your shot wasn't as good, it might be an 8 rather than a 9 or a 10, you go, oh, what was that? Was that my sight? Was that my string alignment? Was that my sight setting? Was that my windage? Was it the wind? Was it my release? Was it my back tension? Was it my shoulder alignment? And you start kind of like, you start doubting yourself. It really takes you down. The slightly less good shot is really destructive compared to the bad shot. If you a bad shot, it's a bad shot, but the slightly not good shot gets to you, and you kind of overcompensate sometimes. You kind of fix things you don't need to fix. So a big part of shooting at top level, and I think, Kat, you're getting to that level, is mental discipline. Your problems are less form. You have a natural variation. Everybody has a variation in the form. It's not perfect. Nobody's ever perfect. Not even Kim Woo-jin, who shot like an 8 once in the last World Cup, right? So it's nobody's perfect. So you need to think about how to maintain mental discipline. It's good you shoot with Taylor and Ryan, because they've got a lot of experience shooting at top level. It's great that you have that. Oh, that's a push there. Is this too chilled out? This is good mental balance. It's good to talk about this because, like I said, for you, it's not so much form that's letting you down. Okay, your technique is optimal. It's close to optimal. You're doing a very good job of doing your shot process. You have a very clean routine. You know what your shot process should look like and feel like. So that is good. So for you, I think it's just building up that psychological and mental discipline and maturity, and that you will have bad and good days, good and bad days. That's a very normal thing. So you mentioned before that when you're shooting with Taylor Worth and Ryan Tyack, they joke around. It's just too chilled out. Everybody is different. Everybody is different. One of the things which I find kind of funny, especially in Australia, Kat, is we have a big emphasis on fun, on relaxing, on chilling out. And when if you interview, let's say, 10 Australian archers, 10 of them will say, I just want to relax, I want to have fun, I want to remind myself why I enjoy this. Okay? So as a cultural thing, we tend to be quite relaxed, and we shoot better when we are in a natural state. I'm different. And this is why I want to include this in this story, okay? Because for me, when I'm relaxed, I slack off. I need to have discipline to focus. Because if I slack off, I'll have fun, I'll shoot more relaxed, I'll be more open. But I need a certain amount of tension. And this a lot of people agree, right? A small amount of anxiety, a small amount of nervousness is a good thing, because you tend to hone in your skills a bit more. Things are more in focus because you have a slight, elevated adrenaline rush, a slight blood pressure. Trying to name, what, I'll do that too, by the way. Like I would crack the worst puns. Naming all Gen 1 Pokemon. Now, that's something that Ryan and Tyler would do. I've never shot with them, but I know their personality. They would totally name Pokemon. Yeah, I would totally do that. No, like I said, like I was saying before, literally a lot of people will shoot very well in a relaxed state. And that's why doing in a competition can be harder, because they can't do the same relaxation. They have to do something else like breathing or naming Pokemon in the back of their heads. For me, I tend to be that, mindset's so important. My mindset is different. I have to be focused in a certain way. Alright? But you need to find what works for you. That's the most vague but correct advice. If naming Pokemon is a way that can help you relax and just reset your shot process and erase the bad shots, then do so. If that doesn't work for you, do something else, So, yeah, there is no such thing as being too chilled out. Everyone has a different mental balance. And as you get more experience shooting, as you get more confidence in your shooting, getting range time, getting just raw experience, you will fine-tune what works and doesn't work for you. That is why a lot of athletes have very peculiar habits and routines. It's why people who don't follow a certain pattern might have a hard time focusing, because they have built up their unique process, the unique mental process to shoot at the optimal level. So yeah, beautiful. Great question there, Kat, and thank you for the form check videos. Like I said, I think you're looking excellent. I'm not surprised that you're shooting very well. I think you did a fantastic job. Keep at it. Make sure you spend, the range time, you maintain the arrow volume, you maintain the discipline, because all these things will slip. When people talk about skill decay, like what happens when you don't train after a week, when you're at this level, things will slip. All right, it's taken me years to build from where I was because I just haven't maintained a strict routine. So if keep up your training routine, keep up everything you're doing, and your mental game will grow with you. Okay, a big thing for everybody is positive self talk. Talk yourself up. Tell your brain what to do. Make yourself feel excited for the shot. Do the shot the best you can, and move to the next shot. That's really what it comes down to, is making sure you have the right mindset and you maintain that. I think the worst feeling is when you do when you have a bad end and you do a bad shot and you feel terrible. I mean, my first 4 years, the first 5 years of my shooting, like I had bad headspace in general. I was not in a good place in my life, and I'll admit that right now. And when I shot, like I carried that baggage with me when I shot. And when I wasn't shooting well at a state championship or at a club shoot, I just wouldn't talk to people. I just shut down. I just would not be happy. I'd just be so angry with myself. And I thought the anger would help me shoot better, but it didn't. And like it was destructive. Like it kind of really ripped apart my confidence. It took me away from wanting to do competitions. It made me afraid to shoot on the line. Built a lot of target panic in. So you have to remind yourself that, like, not say chill out and name Pokemon. That's one way of doing things, but you have to maintain positive mental balance. That, I think, is perhaps the lesson of the night. Is mental game cannot be underrated, or cannot be overrated rather. Right? People underrate a mental game. Archery is almost like, I'd say like 75% mental. Alright, 25% is form and technique, but the mental game, especially at the top level when you're trying to compete for championships and like World Cup places, that's when things get really intense. It looks easy on TV, it looks easy on YouTube. It's not. And for anyone who thinks it's easy, you haven't tried. Okay, so you know what it's like. You've been shooting more than I have in that case. And I think you've done a good job in building your form up to this point. And like I can't comment on technically wise. I think your technique is solid, and I mean just I know that you shoot in Australia with our conditions and our circles. Like my advice is maintain a mental balance. I know for myself that I probably could not chill as much as Taylor or Brian in this case. I'm a pretty chill guy when I shoot, on the line at my club, but I'm not sure if I would be the same level of chill for like a serious shoot. But again, everyone's different. I'm not exactly the most Australian of Australian people, so like culturally, it's slightly different for me. But what works for me won't work for you, and vice versa. So do what you think is natural for you, and as usual, enjoy your archery. So good job, Cap. Keep it up. Look forward to seeing you shoot more in Australia and elsewhere. So, all right, that ends, I think, all the submissions to the stream so far. I think I've got everybody, and I've got one more video. Is this from Hero? Who sent me this, by the way? Jesper. Who was that in chat? Is this the Hero one? Whoops. It is Hero, isn't it? Yeah? Yeah, that's Hero. I love this movie. Oh my god. I'm not going to show this movie. It's copyrighted. No, I want to don't release everything. Beautiful movie. Great soundtrack. Jet Li is great. Donnie Yen back then was fantastic. Thank you for the video. And then a reminder. Loved Hero. Not an archery movie, but a nice... Actually, one of my favorite movies. Just the storytelling and the cinematic experience was just beautiful. But thanks a lot for that, by the way. Okay, we'll take last questions. It is 9 PM, quite early for me. I don't want to mark work. I mean, I've got essays to mark, but you know what I do today? I don't feel like it. I know what to do. Maybe I want to make an archery video, but I've got like 5 games lined up, which I want to do, like pop shots episodes for. But wow, interesting. I'm not sure what to do. Maybe sleep. You know, I mean, I've been sleeping quite well recently, actually. Surprisingly, one of the things that have changed my life now. I sleep decently for once. War the Hours is nice too. Lots of good movies to watch. Of course, there's Robin Hood coming in October this year, November, with the Lars Anderson choreography. That'd be awesome to watch. Thank you, Panvia. I'm glad you enjoyed that. You know, any last questions, guys? Just ask. I'm just checking my comments here. Okay, well, I think we're done. With that's a nice little feed here. When's the next form check? I don't normally plan the form checks, sadly, as much as I would like to. A lot depends on my schedule. So what I normally do is wait until I get like 2 or 3 form checks. Because people normally send me some form checks during the stream. But for the most part, like I won't schedule a form check if I don't get enough videos. So I need probably 2 or 3 videos, and then I do form checks. And I don't really schedule them regularly. Oh yeah, Lipton iced tea, raspberry, by the way. Don't normally see this in shops, but came out there. Alright, let's end it there. I think we've done a good job so far. So thank to everybody who submitted videos for this stream. I think you've done, you're doing really well. You know, like you all have something to work on, and we can all learn from your experience as well. So hopefully my advice has helped you in some way. I know a few of you just said, like, keep on doing what you're doing. And that's probably the best, now, like, I mean, a lot of people who will, say things like, yeah, like some people just send in videos just to validate their form. Like, they're shooting well already, they just want someone else to look at them, and it's great. Like, I think, like I said before, the best feedback sometimes is, you're doing well, just keep it up. There's a point where there's no point nitpicking small things, just keep on doing what you were doing. And for many of you, keep enjoying archery, and keep on doing what you were doing. This is NUSensei. I'll see you next time.